The first time she humiliated him, it was in front of everyone. Ethan Carter stood in the glass-walled conference room with his palms sweating, his tie slightly crooked, and a knot in his stomach that hadn't loosened in months. He had practiced this presentation after putting his 5-year-old daughter to sleep, whispering numbers into the dark so he wouldn't wake her. He had skipped dinner to rehearse slides, convinced that if he just did well enough, life might finally stop pushing him downhill. Then the CEO spoke. "Is this really the best you could do?" Sophia Langford said, her voice calm but sharp enough to slice through him. She didn't raise it. She didn't need to. Because what I'm seeing here is careless. And frankly, disappointing. The room went silent. Ethan felt his face burn as co-workers stared at the table, the walls, anywhere but him. He wanted to explain that his daughter had been sick, that daycare had closed again, that he hadn't slept more than 3 hours in days. But explanations didn't matter in this building. Results did. "Sit down, Mr. Carter," Sophia said, already flipping to the next agenda item. "We'll revisit this when you're prepared." Ethan sat, his chest tight, his confidence shattering into pieces he didn't have the energy to pick up. He told himself it was just another bad day. He didn't know it was the beginning of everything breaking. Sophia Langford was known as ruthless. At 38, she had built the company from a struggling startup into a corporate giant. Investors admired her. Employees feared her. She believed pressure created excellence, and she applied it relentlessly, including to herself. What she didn't believe in were excuses. Single dad or not. What Ethan didn't know was that Sophia hadn't slept either. She hadn't slept properly in years. Her penthouse was quiet, sterile, untouched by laughter or toys or warmth. Success had filled every corner of her life, except the one that mattered most. Still, she didn't see that yet. All she saw was an employee falling short. The pressure didn't stop. Deadlines piled up. Meetings stretched longer. Ethan's daughter Lily began asking why he looked so tired all the time. One night, she fell asleep on the couch waiting for him to finish work emails, her small hand clutching a crayon drawing of the two of them holding hands. That night, Ethan broke down in the kitchen, silent tears sliding down his face as he leaned against the counter. He wasn't failing because he didn't care. He was failing because he cared about everything, all at once. A week later, Sophia called him into her office. "You're on thin ice," she said without looking up. "Your performance is declining. If this continues, I'll have to reconsider your position." Ethan's throat tightened. "I understand," he said quietly. "Do you?" she asked, finally meeting his eyes. "Because understanding requires action." He nodded, even though he didn't know how much more action he could give without losing something else entirely. That evening, Lily spiked a fever. The babysitter canceled. Ethan emailed HR and then Sophia, asking for permission to work remotely the next morning. The response came quickly. Denied. He stared at the screen, feeling the edge of something dangerous rise inside him. He took Lily to the office daycare, knowing he wasn't supposed to, praying she'd sleep it off. She didn't. She cried softly while he tried to focus, her small body curled against him. Then Sophia walked in. She stopped cold when she saw Lily. "What is this?" she demanded. Ethan stood, panic rushing through him. "I'm sorry. I had no choice. She's sick and I couldn't leave her alone." "This is a workplace, not a nursery," Sophia said, her voice clipped. "Rules exist for a reason." Lily whimpered, pressing her face into Ethan's shirt. Something snapped. "I'm doing everything I can," Ethan said, his voice shaking. "I work late. I work weekends. I haven't missed a deadline until recently, and that's because I'm drowning. I'm one person trying to be two. I just need a little understanding." The room was tense. Employees nearby pretended not to listen. Sophia's jaw tightened. "Understanding doesn't keep this company running." Ethan swallowed hard. "Then maybe this company doesn't need someone like me." Silence followed. "Take your daughter home," Sophia said finally. "We'll discuss this later." Ethan left, feeling hollow. That night, he updated his resume after Lily fell asleep. He didn't know how they would survive if he lost his job, but he couldn't keep living like this. The next morning, Sophia arrived early, as usual. But something felt off. She couldn't stop seeing the look on Lily's face, the way she clung to her father like he was her entire world. It stirred something uncomfortable, something Sophia had buried years ago. She remembered her own childhood. The long hours alone. The mother who worked constantly. The promise she'd made herself to never be weak, never be dependent. But that little girl had looked at Ethan like he was enough. For the first time in a long time, Sophia questioned herself. Later that day, she called HR. Then legal. Then Ethan. When he walked into her office, he expected the worst. "Sit down," she said, softer this time. He did. "I reviewed your record," she continued. "Before the last few months, your performance was exemplary." Ethan nodded, unsure where this was going. "I also learned that you've had no family support since your wife passed away," Sophia said. "No flexible schedule. No accommodations." His eyes widened. He hadn't told her that. No one at work knew the full story. Sophia exhaled slowly. "I pushed you to the edge," she admitted. "And I didn't bother to ask why you were struggling." Ethan said nothing. He didn't trust his voice. "I won't pretend I understand your life," she continued. "But I understand responsibility. And you carry more of it than most." She paused, then did something no one had ever seen her do. She reached across the desk and placed her hand over his. It was a small gesture. Simple. Human. Everything changed. "We're going to fix this," she said. "Flexible hours. Remote work when needed. And I'm starting a parental support policy for this company, effective immediately." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," he whispered. Sophia nodded, her own throat tight. You shouldn't have had to beg for compassion. Over the following weeks, the atmosphere at the company shifted. Employees spoke more freely. Productivity didn't fall. It rose. Ethan found his footing again, his confidence slowly rebuilding. Sophia watched from a distance, noticing how leadership didn't have to mean cruelty. Strength could coexist with kindness. One evening, she stayed late and passed Ethan's desk. Lily was there, coloring quietly. Sophia crouched beside her. "That's beautiful," she said, pointing to the drawing. "It's my dad," Lily replied proudly. Sophia smiled, genuinely this time. "He's lucky." As she walked back to her office, something inside her felt lighter. The company continued to grow, but so did its heart. Ethan never forgot the moment he almost lost everything. Sophia never forgot the moment she finally reached for someone instead of pushing them away. And together, without realizing it, they proved that true leadership isn't about driving people to the edge, but knowing when to pull them back and remind them they're not alone. Change did not arrive all at once. It came quietly, in small moments that felt almost unfamiliar. Ethan noticed it first in the mornings. He no longer woke up with his heart racing, already bracing for failure. Now, when Lily stirred beside him, he had time to make her breakfast, to sit with her while she ate, to walk her to daycare without constantly checking his phone. The world had not become easy, but it had become breathable. At work, people looked at him differently. Not with pity, but with respect. They had seen him stand up, seen the CEO herself shift course because of him. That knowledge gave him a strange new confidence, though he still carried the weight of fear deep inside. Losing his wife had taught him how quickly stability could disappear. Sophia, on the other hand, felt unsettled in a way success had never caused before. Her office, once a place of control, now echoed with questions she could not silence. She replayed that moment over and over in her mind, the way Ethan's voice had cracked, the way his daughter had hidden against him, the way her own hand had reached out without calculation. It had been years since she had touched another human being with anything other than formality. She told herself the policy changes were practical decisions. Better retention. Better morale. Better optics. But late at night, sitting alone with city lights flickering beyond her windows, she knew that was only part of the truth. She had seen herself in that child. And she had seen what she never had in that father. A week later, the pressure returned, this time in a different form. A major investor demanded layoffs to increase short-term profit. The board scheduled an emergency meeting, and Sophia felt the old instincts rise, sharp and ruthless. Numbers were numbers. Emotions had no place there. Until she saw Ethan's name on the list. She stared at it longer than necessary. When the meeting began, the room buzzed with tension. Executives spoke about margins, projections, and efficiency. Sophia listened, her expression unreadable, but inside, something was shifting. "We can't afford to go soft now," one board member said. "Personal circumstances cannot influence corporate decisions." Sophia felt the weight of those words press against her chest. She stood. "We are not going soft," she said evenly. "We are going smart. You want loyalty, innovation, long-term growth. You don't get that by breaking the people holding this company together." There was resistance. Arguments. Cold stares. But Sophia did not back down. For the first time, she defended people instead of sacrificing them. When the meeting ended, the layoffs were postponed. Alternatives were approved. Ethan didn't know any of this when Sophia called him into her office again. His stomach twisted as he walked in, old reflexes refusing to die. "I won't keep you long," she said. "I wanted you to hear this directly. Your position is secure. And your next project will have additional support." Ethan exhaled, a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Thank you," he said, then hesitated. "You didn't have to do that." Sophia looked at him for a long moment. "Yes," she said quietly. "I did." That evening, Ethan stayed late to finish a report. Lily sat nearby, humming softly as she drew. When Sophia passed by again, she stopped. "You don't have to stay late anymore," she said. "I know," Ethan replied with a small smile. "But this time, I want to." Sophia nodded, surprised by the warmth that simple exchange stirred in her. Weeks passed. The company transformed in subtle but powerful ways. Parents stopped hiding their struggles. Employees supported one another. And Ethan began to feel something he hadn't felt since before his wife died. Hope. One afternoon, Lily waited for him in the lobby, holding a handmade card. She ran to him when she saw him. "This is for you," she said, beaming. He opened it and froze. Inside was a drawing of 3 figures holding hands. Him. Lily. And a tall woman with dark hair. "Who's that?" he asked gently. "That's the lady who helped you," Lily said. "She looks lonely." Ethan swallowed hard. Across the room, Sophia watched them, her chest tightening as Ethan met her eyes. For a brief moment, no titles existed. No CEO. No employee. Just 2 people carrying invisible scars, standing at the edge of something neither had planned. Neither of them knew what would come next. But for the first time in a long time, neither of them felt alone walking toward it.